Michelle Sabino, and I'm anti-corporal punishment.
My name is Maya Patrick, and I am pro corporal punishment.
My name is Tiffany Torres, and I am all for a whooping.
I was whipped as a child. I was spanked with a belt at 2 years old, rather young. That didn't last very long because my mom immediately realized you shouldn't be hitting a 2-year-old with a belt. As a teen, even if I sassed, I was popped in the mouth while wearing braces and she busted my lip. I come from a behaviorist standpoint, and so in my experience and with my child, I need to understand that behaviors are a communication. So whether they are trying to access something in their environment and can't articulate it well, if they're trying to escape a situation, or if they're trying to gain attention, then it's up to me as a parent to be able to understand what the perspective that my child is coming from, and then not only addressing the behavior and making sure that they understand that it's not appropriate and should never take place, but also being able to provide alternatives. I don't spank, one, because it forces my child to hide from me. I don't want my child to fear me. I want my child to come and speak to me and be able to have that open dialogue of communication. It doesn't mean that my child gets to get away with murder by any means, because she's the most respectful kid ever, and we're only 4. She's only 4 years old right now, but compared to other children that I've been around, again, we have 15 nieces and nephews, my child tends to be the most well-behaved of the children.
Yeah, I'm all for whoopings. It's just, but like she said, it's part of their ability to communicate. You got to take that and keep it in mind when you're dealing with kids. You got to think about how they communicate. So a lot of times what I see when people resort to whipping kids, it makes me mad, because it's like I can name about 10 different things that you haven't even tried before you start talking about whooping kids.
Right.
It doesn't make sense how fast some people resort to whooping kids. That's my thing. Half the time the people that do that type of stuff didn't get whooped as a child, or probably need they butt whooped theyself.
Yeah, I think like during that time is like when you have to keep repeating, doing it. Okay, there's another way you have to go about it. Mm-hmm. There's different ways. If they're not gonna listen because they're gonna get a butt whooping and they're doing it again. So I come from a family of 10. I have a 2-year-old and I have a 7-year-old. My 2-year-old is more hard-headed than my 7-year-old. My 7-year-old, we get along. He knows if I cross that street without looking both ways and something happens, I'm gonna get a butt whooping. I butt whoop when it's serious. Like in school, you get a referral, you're gonna get a butt whooping when you come home. My mom just smacked me for no reason. You didn't do dishes. Really, lady? So I say give them away.
No one should ever lay hands on my child. My child knows she should never lay hands on anyone. We don't lay hands on each other because we're constantly teaching there are certain people who are able to touch you and others who should not, and that's just making sure that she protects her body. Even with hugs, if she wants to deny a hug, even family members who are like, make her give everyone a hug goodbye, because that's a cultural thing with us. Mm-hmm. She's able to protect her body. She needs to know that she can draw the line and tell people when their touch is not appropriate, and that's being women in the society. She has to be able to have that autonomy and empowerment. So to say that it's okay for somebody to hit her, then where does that line stop as an adult and being in an abusive relationship? Like at what point does she have to stop being courteous?
Half of my brothers and my sisters, they're young, and then the other 5 are older. And I do allow them, if I'm not there and my child is acting out. One time my brother Kyle, he did spank my child, and I like went ham on him. I was like, what did you just do? He did something, and my brother Kyle was like, I need it too. And I asked Jesse, I said, how did he hit you? He said, I was like, did you, like, he just looked at, he's like, Mom, and I'm like, I don't know how to take this. Like, my brother didn't mean it in force. Like, he wasn't like beating him. He's just like, I had to spank him. I think he went into the pool without someone's, and my brother was like, what if he would have drowned, or what if this? So I'm okay with like people that are like my siblings and my mom and my dad to discipline my child. I'm okay for it, but like if it was straight Lawrence just him, no.
No, nobody's touching my kid. I don't even like the idea of my wife or her mother, for that instance, telling my son you're gonna get a whooping or you're gonna get his legs tapped or any type of threats. Like, don't threaten my kid. Period.
Yeah.
Like I said before, sit down and communicate. If his behavior caused him to suffer any physical harm, daddy needs to be consulted. As far as I'm concerned, that's my son, and I understand him probably better than anybody. So if their resort is whooping my son, putting their hands on my son, they need to be ready to put their hands on me too, because it might come to me putting my hands on them if they put their hands on my son. Really, not spanking is a bigger detriment, because there's some people, they gotta mess up, and really the kids have to know there's a limit too, and there's consequences. So I mean, if you don't spank your kid, it forces you to not think about what spanking does. But if you actually spank your kid, sometimes it takes some self-reflection to say, okay, maybe I shouldn't have did that. Maybe I need to do this before I did that. And you know, sometimes your kid is gonna be thinking, I shouldn't have did that either. You need to whip your kids before the police get out there whipping your kids. That's how I was raised. It's just better I take care of these ass whoopings before the police take care of them ass whoopings.
that one.
I ain't never been to jail. I'm 37 years old. I ain't never been to jail. I got a couple cousins neck and neck. We ain't never been to jail. The other cousin that has been to jail, he live in Texas. So that's like, you gonna go to jail being black in Texas. Yeah, I said it. I know we good people. We ain't out there messing up. We ain't trying to do nobody wrong. And we got our butts whooped. But we ain't out there like a bunch of people who you talk to them like, oh, like your uncle or your dad. He's like, I didn't get whooped. Like, I know so many people like that just swear they thugs. Ain't never got a real ass whooping. My mama whipped my ass harder than some of these thugs can.
I don't agree that we have to use our children as test subjects and at least smack them around a few times to see if they understand. I think that if you're firm and you're setting boundaries, and if you follow through, because that's the difference. You have families who don't follow through. They're like, oh, you're in trouble, you're grounded, I'm taking away your video game. But then 5 minutes later, they're back in there with their video game because they don't know how to hold the line. That's an issue. If you're reprimanding your kid for, you know, whatever the issue is, if you never know how to follow through with the consequence, then it doesn't matter. You can whip a kid as much as you want, and they're still going to end up bad just because, well, I got a whooping, but they're still letting me do whatever I want to do. It wasn't that bad, because even after that, we're still fine. You have people who just whip and feel that, okay, well, now this is the negative reinforcement. If I do this behavior, I'm going to get hit. And then there's the other side where I just don't want to harm my child, but then they're also not creating boundaries for those children. And I mean, I've seen people who make excuses for their kid as to, oh, you know, they're just, you know, the whole boys will be boys issue that we have in society. Like, that behavior is excusable, from roughhousing to hitting women to raping them to sexually harassing them. Like, where are those boundaries at? If we make excuses for bad behavior, then no, they don't know where the line is.
I agree some parts, but some parts I don't agree on. Why? Because my childhood was rough, but my relationship with my kids is different from my mom's relationship with me, my dad's relationship with me. And I don't just spank my kid just for, oh, he got in a box of cereal when I told him not to. Like, I had an incident. My child would take off his seatbelt in the car, and I don't know, but I've told him multiple times. Multiple times I have to pull over. Multiple times I have to keep cycle. I mean, this was going on for like 7 months. Until I was just like, I'm going to start whooping this kid's butt. Because every time he takes off, now, whooped him one time, never took off the seatbelt again. And like, I didn't spank him in an abusive way. I just laid the law down. Like, don't take off your damn seatbelt. If you take off your damn seatbelt, your ass is going to get whooped. And if you want your ass to get whooped, take off that seatbelt.
I have no poker face. I'm sorry. None.
So.
Well, I don't need to. I don't need your agreement.
I'm just saying, yeah, you probably tell where I disagree, because the whole boys will be boys thing, I don't know, making that connection is kind of a stretch to me. People understand boundaries, like.
No, it was just an example of there are parents who will make excuses for bad behavior.
Yeah, those parents.
That was the extreme.
Yeah, it's usually a pattern with those parents too, and I'm not even going to touch on that. That's a whole other topic with those parents. Those parents usually have certain types of privileges. Let me just say that.
I understand both sides. I understand talking to a child. I understand your parenting. I understand it. I understand his. I understand mine. Like, it's understandment, but there's ways I'm gonna go different, or I'm gonna try for. Like, you stood out. Like, just calmly talk and keep talking and talking. How you, what you said was, I raised my voice, and she knew it was going to, like, she knew it was going down. Like, I'm a person, I raise my voice, and that just stood out to me. So I understand both sides.
I can't raise my voice. I don't know if y'all can tell on camera, but my voice is kind of deep. Mm-hmm. So if I raise my voice, the whole neighborhood is gonna be scared. So
you're gonna have the picture frames full on the wall.
Yeah, I just look at you and you know I'm serious. I give you that look.
Oh, that's how my dad is.
I have consequences after that look.
My dad gives me that look. I'm like, I love you, Dad.
No, we make fun of my dad.
Really?
My dad gets mad, and his one swear word is, "This is bullshit." So as soon as we get the look, we're all, "Well, this is bullshit, huh, Dad?" And I see the middle ground of, because disciplining it's along a spectrum. And so there are the extremes, and then there's, this gray area middle ground of what is acceptable and what's not, and people do what's right for them. And kids have different personalities, they have different temperaments, and so you might discipline one child one way and another in another way. Like, one kid you might have to get in their face and scream because they don't hear you at all, not even the first time. And there's others where you just redirect them, and they're they just do what you tell them to. So again, it's along a spectrum. So.
And on the same level, I like to recommend a movie called Major Pain by Damon Wayans, which is great for this type of situation.